Hello, my name is Cameron Vesey. I live in Spokane, Washington, and this year I decided to run for governor. This video is specifically for our favorite quarterback, Dangerous, Russell Wilson. Hello, Russell, if you are seeing this, I hope you do. I'm making this video because we're in trying times right now. And the reasons I originally decided to run for governor, because living in Spokane, first of all, and being not of the political arena, the chances of me winning this game, the odds are set against me. But I do believe if I can win this game, and I am elected governor, I can be a very positive impact for the whole state. First, let me tell you, I've been a Seahawks fan since I was a kid. I was born and raised in Spokane, Washington, so I'm from Washington. I was born here, so I love the state. I've always been a Mariners fan. I still am. But I was a Seahawks fan back in the. I saw Largent at the end of his right at the end of his career. John L. Williams, number 32, the fullback for the Seahawks. He was my first favorite player. Well, actually, I think Kenny Easley was my first favorite player, but then for running backs, it was John L. Williams. Look, Dave Craig made a career out of running for his life. I mean, you look at the line. Hey, I'm not trying to, but that man, got paid to run for his life and try to complete a pass. So there was many years. It was difficult and painful. We had to persevere. Dave Craig. I love Dave. Jim Zorn. I actually met Jim Zorn. I myself was a football player in high school. I'm paraplegic now. I don't know if you notice I'm kind of rolling. I'm paraplegic, but in high school, I was an exceptional athlete. My coaches, all of them, told me that I could make college ball as a running back. And unfortunately, to go to college, you have to finish high school, which I didn't do. I wound up in a wheelchair when I was 19 years old from a car wreck. But I understand the game of football. I understand athletics. I've always been a superior athlete, and it's a lot of it was my genetics, and then you develop a will, a discipline, a way of breaking through barriers in your goals and training and things like that. So at 45, I'm not much of the athlete I used to be, but anyway, so I was a football player, and a darn good one for that age. And I compare myself to Emmitt Smith. I was 5'8". Well, I was 5'7", 5'8". I think as a sophomore, I was benching 245, squatting 350, and I put 225. So I made the 800 club as a sophomore, weighing 165 pounds, which my strength per weight ratio was really off the charts. I ran a 4.5 40, which by the old clock, I was pretty darn quick. Now, about 100 yards, 2 or 3 guys always beat me, but my first 20 yards, it was lights out. So, anyways, I'm a fan of the Seahawks. I'm a ex-football player, at least in high school. I watch. I'm an avid sports fan, NFL fan. What does that have to do with being governor? Not much. I just wanted to build a rapport with you, Russ. That I watch you. I have respect for your game, for your leadership. I dig that your mind coach. He's a great guy. I like some of those philosophies. but I'm old as dirt, Russ. I've came through society. So think about this. This is an analogy I wanted to make to you, Russ. I'm sorry it might take me a little while to get to it. So look at Sherman, right? Sherman's playing for another team. Do we hate Sherman? No. Do we know Sherman's going to give it his all on that other team? Of course. And so sometimes in life, like if we look at Donald Trump, he was a Democrat for most, of his adult life. If we look at Ronald Reagan, he too was a Democrat, and then switched to Republican when he became governor of California. So people switch teams, and some people don't like that, but there's nothing wrong with that. And the reason people don't like that is because we know when people switch teams, if they have talent and ability and they're playing for the other team, that's going to suck for us. We're going to have to work harder if they switch teams, to keep up. Okay. An analogy about life that I think is very fitting here, and one of the reasons I think I should be governor of the state of Washington is because, especially in these times, I have a perspective about life that will benefit me in policy making and governing our state. So, when a rookie comes out of college, maybe he doesn't get to choose what team he gets to go to, right? Maybe he ends up on a bad team and it ruins his career. Well, he never gets the proper training, doesn't get with the right coach, doesn't have the skill set around him, and maybe his career's cut short and he never achieves the success he might have achieved if he did have a choice to what team he went, if he did happen to be lucky enough to go to the right team. Life's like that, wouldn't you say? And here's the real problem. We have young teens, young Americans who are rookies in the wrong systems. And they're systems that maybe they don't find the right team or the right support or the right agent to help them, guide them through the troubled years of playing for the wrong team. And maybe they choose the wrong team. Maybe they had a choice in the matter, and for whatever reason, because they didn't have the proper support around them, they chose the wrong team. And the problem with that is, if you have talent and you have a certain ability and a drive, once you pick a team, regardless of how popular or successful or right or wrong that team is, most people who have talent and ability, once they get into something, they go all out. They give 100%. So when our young adults, when our troubled young adults get on the wrong team, and they're go-getters, well, that's not good for society. That's not good for them. But we look at it as if that makes them an evil person, as if they're just bad to the core. I know that's not true. Why do I know that's true? Well, because I've been to prison. I was in juvenile halls. I understand what it's like to be in a world that is unlike what normal people think it is. And when you're in that world or on that team, you play to win. That's what competitors do. And so when a competitor or somebody of talent doesn't find his way onto the right team, well, he plays hard for the team he does find, because he's a competitor. And that when that team's a gang, when that team's in the hood, when that team's and then if it's a really good team in the hood, if he gets on an exceptionally bad team, like a team that's really good at being bad, boy, he can really add to that badness. Does that make sense? I know you're a man of faith, Russ, and the great thing about that game is, well, you can always switch teams, both directions. You can always switch teams. You can turn from God, or you can turn towards God. and you'll be forgiven for jumping teams and coming back, just like we would forgive Earl Thomas and Sherm. We love those guys. If they wanted to come back, hey, we'd accept them back, open arms. Come on back, guys. But in the game of life, there's a little more on the line. In the game of God and the devil, it's quite a bit more on the line. So, as a society, I believe we've lost this value that our country started with of forgiveness, and you're allowed to choose the team, and if you realize you're on the wrong team, you're allowed to come back to the good team. And over the years, that's been lost. And it's my opinion that the stamp of a felon is the new mark of a slave. Once you become a felon, it becomes difficult to find a place of residence. So you're begging. You need a cosigner. You got to find help. You got to beg and do all these things. Jump through these hoops. Sign up on these programs. Become a dependent, whether to a program or to a relative or whatever. You become a dependent, a slave, so to speak. Trying to find a job as a felon. If you're a felon and you have talent and you're competitive and you're a go-getter, you're probably not going to be working the job that's paying you for the value that you're actually worth as a competitor, as a talent, as an ability. And as such, you're probably working a job that doesn't even utilize your talents and competitiveness appropriately. And then many a time, because you are a felon, there's teams out there that know you can't play for anyone else, so they're going to get you, but you got no negotiation abilities. You're a felon. You're a slave class. And then the more stamps you got, the more they have control of you. Now it's even harder for you to do things. Now you better jump through our hoops. You better dance. Or you got nothing. And here's the other problem. Even if you do the dance, even if when you get out of prison, you survive that without corrupting your heart. That's hard to do. You survive prison without corrupting your heart. Or maybe you go to prison and you find the way to uncorrupt your heart. It could go both ways. And then you get out of probation, you jump through those hoops, and you get off probation. Now you just got a whole bunch more hoops to jump through, even though it shouldn't be that way. But here's the thing. Doing that dance, jump through hoops on top of living life. We all know life is hard whether you're a felon or not. Not being a felon, life's hard. No matter where you're born, there's challenges to everyday life, to learning, to growing, that make life difficult and hard and sometimes too much to take. On top of that, if you're adding all these hoops and jumping, dancing, and then you have to keep your job and you have to go see your probation officer or whatever, and then you're getting paid less than you deserve, man, how do you not lose heart there? How do you not want to play? Now you just don't. You might not even want to play a game for anyone. You might not even want to be on the team, but you got to be on some team. Or maybe you choose a team and you're not playing to win. You're just playing to hurt people because you're not getting paid the money. You're out here busting your ass. They're not paying. Maybe you get bitter and you're just out there. Maybe you're just playing to hurt people. Maybe you get a little mean. I'm calling it a glass ceiling for felons and the poor and the poverty-stricken and those who become homeless and got the stamp of addiction. There's this glass ceiling, Russ, that they feel down here. And everybody knows is there here. And then politicians and people of privilege want to act like, just straighten up, kid. Just don't break the law. Just don't break the law. Oh, I hate that word. Just don't break the law. That's a false narrative that our leadership is selling to the middle class, and the middle class is buying it, even though they'll never hire a felon, even though they'll never, they don't want that guy living next to them, But hey, no. Just get a job. Just work hard. Just jump through the hoops. Don't break the law. But you're down there, and there's a glass ceiling. You know it. Everybody around you know it. And they're like, yeah, they're not going to let me back up. Or only through a miracle of some sorts might somebody break through that glass ceiling. But you become resentful. You become resentful to the very idea of the society these people are lying to you about that you can be a part of. Because we know we're never going to be a part of that society again. But they want to have the false narrative of, come on, stop being a bum, stop breaking the law. All you have to do is hard work and don't break the law and you can go far. And if that's not true, and the people you're telling that to know that's not true, where's the incentive of them to do as their masters say? Where's the incentive for them to put in the work that it would take to come out of poverty if they know putting in the work has a 90% chance of not getting them out of poverty, right? So you're going to find a few that's going to do the work anyways and fail, and then you're going to find a few that do the work anyways and they get out of poverty, but most of them are watching only a couple pop out, while most of them calm back down, and they're going to say, hey, it's not worth the effort. This is why I think I'd make a good governor, because I have a perspective, an understanding. I've been there. I'm a recovering addict. I've done jail time. I've done prison time. I don't know how to say this so that someone doesn't get upset. My best friend in 3rd grade. I grew up in white trash Spokane, Washington, Hilliard. It's a biker town. What part of it was called Dog Town. Dogs running around barking on dirt roads and trailer court. Now, I didn't live in Dog Town, I lived below it, right? In the, classier part of white trash Hilliard. And in 3rd grade, I was an outcast. I was already an outcast in 3rd grade. And my best friend, who was the only African-American kid in Cooper and in the neighborhood, was my best friend. And he was less of an outcast than I was. You don't want to be stabbing kids when you're 8 years old. Nobody likes you after that. But anyways, it's a long story. Jamil Vigale was my best friend in 3rd grade. This was my first best friend. I played in his house. I knew his mother Harriet and his little brother Tristan, and we used to break dance in the basement. We used to get the next Jam Master Jay tape, cassette tape. Russ, you open the thing, you put the cassette in, and you have to flip it around, right? And your little brother always takes it out and ruins it. Do you remember those? Maybe not. Run DMC, Jam Master Jay, he's the one in charge. It's up to him to rock the city, which is truly large. He is the master of the scratching cuts. So move your arms, move your legs, want to move your butt. That was my best friend. So I'm not just saying, yeah, I got black friends. No, I've had close relationships with my black friends, and it doesn't stop there. So because of my perspective and my experience, I believe I can represent Washington as a whole. I'm not trying to represent any one group. I'm not trying to represent these people here, conservatives or liberals. I'm trying to represent them all. Look, Russ, you heard of NASA, right? NASA, National Space Agency. That's owned by the feds, right? The federal government. Then Elon Musk comes along. Jeff Bezos comes along. Now, Washington State might not have as much money as Jeff Bezos, even though he lives here. But I'm pretty sure we got as much money as Elon Musk. So if Elon Musk can start a space agency, why can't we have Washington State Space Agency? WASA. No, I'm serious. Moses Lake. It's a humid desert, Columbia Basin area. And the reason space flights get called off as often as they do is because of lightning. Not because of the cloud cover as much as it is the lightning. And so a dry desert, humid area is ideal for launch. In 2011, they had actually talked about having the space shuttle land there after missions because lack of lightning and whatnot. So I'm not just about social reform, although I am. And now, the reason I started running for governor is because I didn't like Jay Inslee's authoritarianism. I didn't care for it. I thought he was overbearing. I thought he got the data wrong. I didn't think he was using the right data. It's complicated. Okay, I didn't care for that. That was irritating me. But then, and you'll appreciate this, he started using COVID to make an excuse to tax us with an income tax, to pay for COVID. No, I've lived here my whole life, Russ. Washington State, on almost every chart, is like the fourth or fifth hardest tax state in the union. But you know what? I tolerate that as somewhat conservative because we have one of the most wonderful states and things work here pretty good. We've got Boeing, we've got the Seahawks, we got the Mariners. I don't know what happened to the Sonics. I thought that was tragic. But we got Microsoft, we got Amazon, we got the Spokane area. We got the Zags over here. We've got colleges, Wazoo, UW. Washington's a pretty amazing state, Russ. I think you've learned that. And I've been here my whole life, so I'm not just about social reform. I'm also about industry. One of my plans is in the 220 Olympics down in Japan, they're unveiling their new maglev bullet train. It's proven technology, Russ. It's not Hyperloop where we're not sure what we're doing. It's proven technology. If I was governor, I'd be talking to Elon Musk, going, I need some holes drilled through the Cascades from Clay Ellen to Seattle and Tacoma. By my estimates of everything I could read, it would take Elon Musk to drill one hole with one of his machines approximately 1 year to do. So we'll get about 4 of those suckers going, and we'll drill 2 lanes, one going this way, both to Seattle and Tacoma, and they'll line up with I-90 to connect Seattle to Spokane without having to go through the mountains. That's a problem in the wintertime, if not a gas consumption thing, all year round. So, but on top of that, I want to have a bullet train that the Japanese are debuting that runs from Spokane to Portland, from Seattle to Boise, Idaho, which is basically the inland Northwest. And I'd like to have the Tri-Cities, which is, you might not even know about it, but it's a thriving city here in Washington that everybody forgets about. Richland, Pasco, Kennewick. All right? I'd like to have that be the Washington State maglev transit hub. Technology, jobs, and more jobs. About Floyd. I can't do anything about that, Russ. I know the nations, I know the world, but what I just did some research on. I think as far as that goes, I think we should be looking at the Manuel Ellis case. I did a video on that. That's plenty for me. But as governor, I would never defund the police. I would never defunding or disbanding the police is not the answer here. Restructuring, re-education, retraining, a different philosophy, absolutely. And I've done a video on that too. But in no way would I ever defund them or disband them. This is not the time or the place or the moment for such drastic measures with the uncertainty in other areas of our society between COVID and the economy. Not to say it shouldn't be addressed, but it's not the time for radical change with uncertainty on the other side of that. So, but on that, I believe the police union and the prison guard union have too much power in the administration currently, and as long as there needs to be a restructuring. I'm not about blaming individual cops for the training or the tyranny or I'm blaming the unions. I'm blaming the lobbyists that poison the ear of our leaders over time, it drips. think about this, Russ. The unions back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the conditions of our miners, of our workers, of so many areas, it was wretched. When people like to talk about the African American slave, which needs to be talked about, I so often wonder why no one's talking about the Virginia coal mines and the Irish that were enslaved by the companies as they came off the boat. The wretched conditions of our miners for about 45, not the same, not in duration, but in treatment we've treated many people badly is the point I'm trying to say. And the unions was an effective tool and mechanism for that change. Ironically, the union now, I believe, is the wrong mechanism and is the culprit for much of the conditions that not only the African American community suffers from, but the poor, the less fortunate, and our troubled citizens. The police unions, at the very least, needs to be restructured. So back then, unions were about workers' conditions, workers' wages, and safety, and hours, and things of this nature, and that was a good thing. But if we look at it, what was the product that those union members were craftsmen of? Wood, metal, painting, plumbers. The union, train tracks, railroads, the object of the workers' craft was inanimate objects. The problem with the police union and the prison guard union, I felt this for a long time, is that the object of their craft are humans. The city or the state negotiating with the unions, they're not negotiating for the product. Just like Kaiser doesn't take into consideration the steel when it's negotiating with its workers, or the plumbers union when it's negotiating with the state or whatever. The state and the plumber doesn't take into consideration the piping. That's irrelevant. Well, I believe not by choice or not by any malice, but when a union, a police union and or a prison guard union is negotiating with the city or state about budget, about costs, about safety to their guards, about safety to their cops, well, the product isn't taken into consideration. It's just between the state and the city, and the city isn't taking the product. It's not structured that way. Why would they? They negotiate with lumberjacks or the lumber industry, right? They negotiate with the plumbers and then the painters and then the electricians. So the structure's already there because it predates these unions. So the structure's there, and they go about their business every day with the lumber and the pipe fitters and the welders, and then suddenly they come up with the police union. Oh, and they just keep doing it, like it always does. And then the prison guard, and suddenly you're not representing human life in these negotiations, and therefore, without any malice, without any intent, suddenly these humans are getting treated like a product of a plumber. I have a very sophisticated outlook on economy, on human rights, on social issues, on the homeless. I don't have that degree in political science, but look where it's gotten us. I don't have a great history of obeying the law. I cheat a lot. Call me the Bill Belichick of life. Call me the Houston Astros of life. I've cheated somewhat. I've broken some laws. I've hurt a few people. I've done my time, though. I did my probation. I've suffered and paid back and that was a long time ago. And to sponsor me, Russ, to support me, I'm just asking for support now. If I was homeless 2 years ago, Russ, I was strung out on the streets of Spokane, homeless, hopeless, and basically how I got here is a stroke of luck. But now that I'm here, and I'm stable, and I'm clean, and I'm back in the saddle, what better way to send a message not only to the impoverished, but to felons, to the impoverished? Look at what Mr. Vesey's doing. He was strung out. He's the next felon, but he's decided to change his life. He's decided to put the work in, and now he's up on the stage. I'm just trying to be on the stage right now, Russ. I'm not even trying to get a vote. I'm not even trying to get a vote right now. I'm just trying to get on a stage so my voice as a citizen can be heard. And I'm trying to put in the work. But guess what? It's all about the money. The money. Really? Is that what our civics is supposed to be like? Just about the money? Now, I know I started late. I had to make a stand, Russ. And I didn't have time to put together a 6-long pre-campaign to my campaign. Man, I know you're busy. I know you. If you could throw some FaceTime, some exposure, send me some of your boys over, get me in shape a little bit, get me on some a news show or something, because Russ, I'm knocking on doors, I'm calling on the phone, and they're like, you ain't got a chance, boy. Click. And as long as those doors and those gatekeepers keep pushing me out, it's by the time I get going, it's going to be too late. I got 6 weeks. I need to get I'm trying to find some momentum. I've got some banners going. I've got some dates set up to talk to people. I work every day. I'm up at 4 a.m. every day, Russ. 3:30 this morning. Every day, and I go to bed about 9 o'clock, tired and exhausted. I get up again because I'm excited about life. I'm trying to make a difference. Man, if you do see this, I thank you for your time. I really do. If you decide to pass or you just don't feel, if you're not feeling it, that's all right. You're not feeling it. I'm not asking someone to do something that I'm not comfortable with. But I believe if I've moved you in some way, if you feel like there's something about my message, something about my story that I'm not asking for money as much as I'm asking for exposure. You know, I'm not asking for your vote. You might not even vote for me by the time we get there. Maybe somebody else out of the 36 candidates speaks to you more, Russ. I'm okay with that. I'm not even asking for a vote right now. I'm asking as somebody who's trying to put in the work, who's trying to change the world for better and have my voice heard, because I think my perspective is unique. I think it's reasoned out. I think it's impactful to be heard. I think if people hear how I'm coming about, where I get my perspective, how I'm applying it to the system, and how I think it'll affect it, I think if I just get that message out on the main stage, well, hell, they'll have to vote for me. But even if they don't, I'm trying to make an impact. I'm trying to do something positive here, and I'm broke. I'm broke. Show me the money. I can't, Russ. I can't show you the money. And we know you got paid, brother. I'm sorry. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. Probably should have done that a while ago. I'm going to wrap it up here, Russ. I hope you see this. If you do, thank you for your time. Best wishes to you and your family. Go Hawks!